This is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the United States. In fact, it's the most popular urban destination in America, if you can believe that. That's right, Fisherman's Wharf area, Pier 39. It's the third most visited area in the country behind Disneyland and Epcot Center, both of which are artificial theme parks. This is the real thing. It's the old city streets with a lively carnival atmosphere, street sellers, jewelry, souvenirs, paintings in a minute. You have trained seals, you've got jugglers and pantomime artists, you've got the human jukebox, you've got all kinds of strange and wonderful bizarre sights here along the wharfs and marinas, and Ghirardelli Square is certainly one of the most famous spots. This wonderful complex of old brick buildings dates back to the 1860s, where it started life as a woolen mill, making uniforms for the Civil War armies. And then it became a chocolate factory, a spice factory, and by the 1960s, it had been abandoned and was on the brink of demolition when the Matson family stepped in and renovated this into America's premier urban marketplace. Ghirardelli Square today has about 60 stores. There's Crazy Shirts that looks a little bit like Hawaii with compadres and sharper image. And there's about 15 restaurants at Ghirardelli Square also. And there's 10 levels of shopping mall to stroll about in. There's a bookstore with the good California style in a bookstore. We're having seats and benches where you can sit down and do some serious browsing here. There's a lot of park benches and pedestrian malls scattered throughout the Ghirardelli Square with its fountains and beautiful view of the water. And just across the street, you can go down to the promenade. This stretches along for about 3 miles. It's a very comfortable pedestrian walkway, and there's some maritime museums here. And you get some stunning views of Alcatraz and Golden Gate Bridge as well from the promenade. There's a charming turn-of-the-century atmosphere in this neighborhood. The old street fronts here. And not too far away is Green's Restaurant. This is about a mile away, and it is the premier vegetarian restaurant in America, Green's, with a beautiful view of the marina, especially if you get there at sunset time, as we were. It's so popular that you have to call long distance from Honolulu to make your reservations about a week or two in advance, and it's well worth it. It's a price-fixed meal. In the evening, the dinner is $35, and that includes 5 courses, and you can order your wine or beverages to go with that. You'll truly enjoy your dining experience here at Green's, the best vegetarian restaurant in America. Or if you'd like a more working-class bar, you can get Guinness on tap down by the cannery. We don't get Guinness on tap in Hawaii, unfortunately. It just comes in those little brown bottles. But the real thing you've got to get out of a keg on tap. The Irish beer Guinness. It's actually brewed in Cincinnati, as it turns out. And Fiddler's Green serves more Guinness on tap than any other pub in San Francisco.
Maybe they'll be there.
Then there's the cannery, which is similar to Ghirardelli Square. It was a Del Monte cannery for 50 years, and it too was shut down and abandoned, and then taken over by the entrepreneurs and fixed up and renovated into one of the best shopping centers in all of San Francisco. Like Ghirardelli, it's got about 60 stores. There's a dozen restaurants at the cannery, and it's great fun to have a walk around. It's a real pedestrian-oriented place. There's art galleries, there's clothing stores, gift shops. It's a good place to go for breakfast or lunch. They've got 1,000 kites in this shop, and they've got their entertainment out there on that stage out in the Garden Plaza. Out the back door, you have this typical view of Transamerica Building in the downtown area. Transamerica Building, Coit Tower, the sailboat masts, all framed beautifully from Pier 39. This is another one of the most important places to visit in San Francisco, and it's just about a half a mile down past Fisherman's Wharf area. You get a great view of the marina all around it, and there are shops galore at Pier 39. There's 100 stores and over 20 restaurants at Pier 39. They claim to have 10.5 million visitors a year at this one location. Classic San Francisco. It's a reproduction of what the city architecture might have looked like back at the turn of the century. It had been an abandoned waterfront pier 20 years ago, and now it's one of the most popular moneymakers in the city. It seems like all 10 million people might be there at once, but really it's not that crowded. It's built to handle the crowds, and there's an easy free flow of pedestrians in here. You can buy your chocolates, you can buy your sourdough bread, you can buy all sorts of only in San Francisco type gifts, and you can have some fine meals in the restaurants. Pier 39, they claim, is the third most popular visitor attraction in America. They have their own resident seal crowd. These seals moved in a couple of years ago, and first management tried to get rid of them, and now they love it. This juvenile is going to come scampering across the old guys, and they don't take too kindly to it. They sort of bark him off their backs. The seals will be there waiting for you at Pier 39. They're always there. In addition to these city sites, there's a lot of interesting road trips you can take all around the San Francisco Bay Area. So while we're looking at these colorful shops, I'll just mention a few of those to you. There's the California wine country. It makes an excellent one-day trip out to Sonoma and Napa, and then you can go down to Monterey and Carmel. Take a look at the aquarium and the quaint little streets and shops of Carmel by the sea. Another terrific day trip is out to Sausalito and the Muir Woods, where you can see the redwood giants, the tallest trees in the world. A rather long one-day trip is out to Yosemite, but you can do it in a day. Meanwhile, there's plenty to see in the city, and Pier 39 offers shops plus lots of free entertainment as well.
My name is Ned Kelly. The show's called Ned Kelly's Kinetic Family. It's a great show. I've seen it. I can highly recommend it. This is the part where I'm really going to need your help. Not this. Okay, Alan, as I said. No, not you. Oh, great. They're getting their cameras out. Here we go. Ready? Up, and over. Okay. Lift myself up. Okay. When you're ready, come on. 1, 2, 3. All right, a round of applause for Alan. It's time to get those videos out here. All right.
If you're entertained, then you should pay. Tips are the only pay that these performers get, even in the shopping malls, and certainly on the famous streets of San Francisco. Another one of the activities you can take in at Pier 39 is the San Francisco Experience. It's about a 25-minute show, and it's well worth it if you like multimedia slideshows and movies and bombardment by music and narration and a little bit of history. It's not the best show in town, but it's certainly worth it if you've got the time. It fills you in on the city's history, its colorful buildings and people and characters, and it tells you some visitor orientation that might help to enhance your visit to the city. Back out on the pier, it certainly does look like 10 million people have arrived today. The ships are in port, the Navy's in town. You gotta weave and dodge your way through the crowds. But if you like people, and if you enjoy people watching, Pier 39 is one of the best places in the city. If you hate crowds, then you just might want to avoid Pier 39. Stick more to the downtown streets, which are a little bit more civilized and a little bit less crowded. It's fast food heaven here at Pier 39, but for my money, I'd rather eat a fine meal such as offered at Dante's Sea Catch. And you have a great view from your window table. Dante's was a really fine luncheon experience, and it does not take much more time than a McDonald's or a pizza parlor, and it's actually not very expensive. To have a comfortable sit-down meal, you might as well go ahead and treat yourself right. Cruising along by the docks here on the city bus. It's still a busy, active harbor here in San Francisco. Some of the piers have been renovated into shopping malls, and the old ferry terminal's still there. As we land on the downtown financial district near the Embarcadero, a whole complex of high-rise buildings, something like Rockefeller Center in New York City. Wonderful modern sculpture by Jean Dubuffet. The Embarcadero has a whole complex of shops, 3 stories high, and it covers about 5 different blocks. There's 50 or 60 shops right here. There's shops everywhere in San Francisco. It's shopper's heaven, and cafes, restaurants, terrific architecture, a wonderful urban street scene with trees and comfortable sidewalks, benches you can sit down on and rest, terrific public transportation, buses and trolleys, subways, cable cars, boats, taxis, you name it. You really don't need a car when you're in San Francisco. Financial Center has these towering glass high-rises. Banks and insurance companies, international trading headquarters of the world, all located here in downtown by the Embarcadero. The Transamerica Pyramid Building is so prominent that you even see it reflected in building windows. It's become the signature of the city. San Francisco is an architecture lover's paradise. The variety and quality of buildings is among the finest anywhere in the country. And here we're at a neoclassical palace with its creamy rich Ionic pillars, modeled after a French building, the Palace of the Legion of Honor. You'll find this wonderful courtyard. There's a bronze statue here by Rodin, one of the most famous statues in the world, the thinker. And so we'll give you every reason to make an effort to visit this beautiful building. One of the nicer stops in San Francisco is the Palace of the Legion of Honor. It's a major art museum with French paintings and Italian paintings from the 18th century, the 19th century, and the earlier medieval periods. So be sure to stop by the Palace of the Legion of Honor. It's in a beautiful neoclassical building with columns and arcades all around it. It has sculptures and paintings, and Rodin sculptures in particular. Titians, Tintorettos, Tiepolo's, Van Gogh, Monet. It's a great museum here in San Francisco, the Palace of the Legion of Honor. It's so easy to get around the city by public transportation. They even have a light rail subway line, the Muni Railroad it's called, and if you've bought the 3-day pass for $10, which is good on the buses and the cable cars, it also gets you on the Muni subway for free. It's recently constructed. The stations are very clean and modern. It'll take you right back to the heart of town here at Market Street. There's the electric buses. They're quiet. They don't pollute the air with diesel fumes. Of course, people do drive cars in San Francisco, but for the visitor, leave your car in the garage or don't even rent one. It's a walking city, and one of the great spots to go walking to is the San Francisco Shopping Center, which is located right here on Market and 5th Street. It has one of the most beautiful gallerias that you'll see in the city. The arcade here is about 8 stories high, and it has circular escalators that wrap around this amazing structure. The bottom half of the mall is a series of shops and boutiques, and the top half is Nordstrom's department store. The Hawaii Geographic Society, which is bringing you this program, is planning a trip to the San Francisco Bay Area, and you can call us if you'd like some more information about this organized trip, which is open to the general public. We're going to spend a week in San Francisco, based in a nice hotel downtown, plenty of time for shopping and sightseeing. We'll give you tips on getting around town and where to eat in the best restaurants. And plus, we'll offer some day trips out to the countryside. We'll go to Yosemite, Monterey, we'll go down to Carmel, and up to Wine Country, Napa and Sonoma, and up to Sausalito, and out to Muir Woods to take a look at those giant redwood trees. Next week, World Traveler will show you some different sights in part 2 of San Francisco. Here's the great dome of the Emporium. There's several beautiful domes in the city, and one of the domes is postmodern work here at the Marriott Hotel. It's a great place to go for cocktails to wrap up our visit to the city. Of course, all around the San Francisco Bay Area, there's a lot of other attractions that you might want to investigate. There's Carmel by the Sea and Monterey, and then there's the wine country. Let's take a drive up to Napa and Sonoma. It's only about an hour and a half's drive from the heart of San Francisco out to this beautiful, peaceful countryside, and you can enjoy an afternoon of wine tasting. A lot of the wineries offer courtesy samples of the wines. Others charge a modest fee, but it's all worthwhile. Here's one of the beautiful chateau-style buildings of the wine country. There's several dozen of the major wineries that are open to the public out here, both in Napa County and Sonoma County. Step right up to the free tasting bar and help yourself. California certainly produces some of the best wines in the world, so if you enjoy that sort of thing, I'd highly recommend a day or two up here in wine country. Great scenery, great restaurants, wonderful white wines as well as red wines. Well, it's been a pleasure taking you on this tour through San Francisco and the Bay Area. Now, this is one part of a two-part series that we're doing this month on San Francisco. So tune us in again next time, and you'll see more of San Francisco. You'll see Ghirardelli Square. You'll see some more museums. You'll see all the shops around Union Square. As we make our way through wine country, here's Christian Brothers Winery. This is the biggest building in all of wine country, Christian Brothers.